Vice President Kamala Harris left the Naval Observatory Monday afternoon, headed to meetings at the White House. On Sunday, at least 3 running mate finalists were seen arriving at the vice president's home for in-person interviews. Harris is expected to pick one of these 6 men to join her on the Democratic ticket. CBS News has learned she plans to announce her choice Tuesday morning, just in time for a new running mate to join her for a campaign swing through 7 battleground states.
It's an honor to be considered. But regardless of what happens through the process, I'm going to do everything I can to get Kamala Harris elected as President of the United States this November.
A new CBS News poll now shows Harris statistically tied with former President Trump in those battlegrounds, as well as nationally. The poll shows a big jump for Democrats compared to when President Biden was still running. When he dropped out, he had a 5% deficit nationwide.
Well, thank you.
Trump campaigned in the battleground state of Georgia over the weekend with a rally at the same arena where Vice President Harris campaigned a few days earlier.
If Harris wins this election, you will quickly have a Kamala economic crash. You're going to have a crash.
The CBS News poll shows Trump with a lead over Harris when it comes to the economy.
Donald Trump still has a big edge on that, just like he did against Joe Biden.
Trump has been posting about the markets dropping on social media throughout the day, including this one saying simply, Trump cash versus Kamala crash. Skyler Henry, CBS News, the White House.
And the vice president is expected to announce her pick tomorrow morning, followed by video before holding a rally in Pennsylvania later in the day. For more what's at stake with this pick and what we can expect ahead of Vice President Harris's announcement, we bring in CBS 8 political analyst Laura Fink. How you doing?
I'm good, Carlo.
Good to have you again. One thing I want to get to before we get to specifics, the entire field is white men. What does that say about a Democratic Party that espouses being inclusive?
Well, I think it's about playing it safe. And I think when you have a trailblazing candidate who is a woman of color and who is a woman at the top of the ticket, you kind of need a reassuring white guy to sort of give people a little bit of comfort that things are changing, but maybe not that much, or give people that they see and that they relate to. Now, we also know that Kamala Harris has some challenges with men, particularly white men. So, identity politics is real.
It is a real thing. I guess the good news for Democrats is that the field seems to be fairly rich for them and a lot of really good choices, but it seems to be down to 2. By all accounts, it's Governor Shapiro from Pennsylvania or Tim Walz, governor from Minnesota. Let's start with Shapiro. Tell me, what do you think are his pluses and minuses? What does he bring to the ticket?
Strengths, 61% approval rating in a must-win swing state for Harris. That's his greatest quality. 2, complementary skills in terms of he's ready and willing to play the bulldog to Kamala Harris's charm and disarm. So that fits really nicely. Liabilities, he has made some moves on his political rise that have alienated traditional Democratic camps, like the teachers, for example, with his support of charter schools. And he made some comments in his past about Israel that have been rather polarizing and an issue that Kamala Harris wants to be able to carve her own path without controversy on.
Governor Walz, let's switch to him. Somebody who's really skyrocketed, it just blazed into the public consciousness over the last couple of weeks. What does he bring? And are there negatives that he's just so new on the national scale for many people that we don't know?
Well, that's a great question, and this applies to all the candidates. They have done vetting, so if they're already and remain in the conversation, they've passed the vet, as we kind of say, behind closed doors. They have passed scrutiny. And so, obviously, with Governor Walz, you have a candidate that's not as well known. Same with Governor Shapiro, but this is a guy who's salt of the earth, that is possibly more relatable than any other candidate, and still brings incredible credentials with his military experience, 2 decades in the reserves, which his kind of high school football persona and his demonstrable success winning swing voters and legislating in a state where he had to win the whole state and did a tremendous job with progressive policy.
And he's got that Midwest everyman vibe people talk about. Now, so they're down to those choices. What, if anything, can they do to offset Kamala Harris's perceived weakness? We just saw a poll in the package we had. Donald Trump outperforms her on the economy specifically. Will either of these actually move the needle?
Well, it depends on how they campaign, because the skill in campaigning, and we saw this kind of extended tryout with all of them doing national media, doing more appearances than maybe they otherwise would. So this is something where we see them testing the waters, showcasing their personal styles, and so we can see what's that chemistry. who can best help Kamala Harris make the case.
Huge decision for her, the biggest yet. We'll see how she does with it. Laura Fink, thanks so much for your time. We'll see you tomorrow, and by this time tomorrow, we will know who that vice presidential pick is, and we'll get to see them in action. It'll be interesting.
More to talk about.
See you then. Marcella?